everyone, welcome. You are watching In Your Interest here on News 9 Live. I am Krishna Kumar, and the big story that we're tracking on the show is the inflation in India, as inflation comes down below the 4% mark for the first time in nearly half a decade. The big question is, will the Reserve Bank of India cut interest rates? And if that's going to be the case, is it the right time and probably the last opportunity for you to make your investments into fixed deposits at the current high rates in which they're being offered by banks? After staying above the 4% mark for nearly 5 years, retail inflation in India has finally dipped below that crucial level. It has hit a 59-month low of 3.54% in the month of July 2024. This drop, however, is mainly due to a high base effect, according to data from the National Statistical Office, or NSO. Now, the last time we saw retail inflation below 4% was back in September 2019. Meanwhile, food inflation also dropped to a 13-month low of 5.42% in July from 9.36% in the month of June. Over the past 8 months, food inflation has hovered anywhere between the 8 to 9% mark due to the high prices of vegetables, cereals, and pulses. However, on a month-on-month basis, the Consumer Price Index, or CPI, which retail inflation is based on, gained momentum in categories like food, clothing, housing, and of course, the overall index value. So where exactly is inflation headed from here on? And if inflation is going to continue to cool, will RBI look at cutting interest rates? We have Teresa John, Deputy Head of Research, Nirmal Bang, and lead economist as well, joining us on this broadcast here on In Your Interest. Teresa, thank you so much for taking time to be with us here on the show. Simple question to you. Do you see inflation remaining below that 4% mark going forward?
So over the next 2 months, so probably August, also you could have inflation around 4%, but and probably September also could be relatively low. But from October onwards, we expect inflation to pick up back again, which is what the RBI has also been saying, that the soft patch of inflation that we got yesterday and which we probably will have over the next 1 or 2 months is a blip, because last year we had this huge spike in vegetable prices, which happened in July 2023. Particularly, tomato prices had gone through the roof, but not just tomato prices, all vegetable prices had gone up. So it's not that vegetable prices have come down, but on a high base, the prices look relatively low. So largely the number that we saw yesterday was because of a high base of last year. And as you were also pointing out, so vegetable inflation has come down from around 29% to around 6%, but on a month-on-month basis, it's still gone up around 14 to 15%.
Okay. The reason why I'm asking this question is that when you talk about inflation, the first thought goes to food inflation, because that is outside the realm of control of anybody and anything. And food inflation, if you see, hasn't exactly come off completely. Again, it is lower than the highs it has hit, but it's still not in a range where you can expect it to be remaining low for the foreseeable future.
Right. So it is food inflation. It cannot be controlled by interest rates. You're absolutely right on that. Actually, even the economic survey was highlighting the point that core inflation has been low over the last couple of months, and food inflation is not within the RBI's control. So should the RBI keep interest rates high purely on account of high food inflation? But the governor clarified very lucidly on that point in the last monetary policy last Thursday. So the key point that he wanted to convey was that food inflation is what shapes inflation expectations, and you could potentially have a wage price spiral, because if people kind of internalize the fact that inflation is high because of food inflation, they will go and negotiate for higher wages, and that can lead to a wage price spiral. And also, apart from that, you as a result of that, you could see food inflation actually spilling over into core inflation, potentially with a lag. Thankfully, over the last 1 year, we have not seen that happen, but that still remains a risk. So RBI still remains focused on the headline inflation number, not on the core inflation number. But that's it. The headline inflation number has come up, but as I highlighted earlier, this seems a blip more because of high base of last year, not something that will sustain for an extended period of time.
Okay, more of a case of a high base effect. So, apart from food, there is also, you have clothing, housing, also prices also rising along with it. Even within food, for example, pulses, the inflation continues to be in the double-digit mark. But talk to us outside of food, other commodities getting expensive.
That's right. So mainly this month we saw the telecom tariff hike. So that was the main impact on core. So we've seen core inflation actually gone up from 3.1% to around 3.5%, mainly because of the telecom tariff hike. So telecom tariffs actually hiked by around 15 to 20%. The CPI increase is only around 8%. Clothing inflation has remained high. It's still going up on a month-on-month basis, but cotton prices have come off. So since the large part of your clothing inflation is actually influenced by cotton prices, probably we will not see that high inflation in clothing going forward. That said, on a month-on-month basis, it's still going up. Yeah, and it's not just pulses is there, and you even have cereals which have gone up, oils and fats, which are like your palm oil, etc. Over the last 1 year or maybe 1.5 years, you've seen deflation. But again, on a month-on-month basis, it has started to go up. So it's the food basket as a whole remains quite challenging. Probably the Kharif sowing is looking pretty decent this time around. So maybe after the Kharif crop hits the market in September, we could see food inflation come off a bit.
Okay, so which leads me to my next question. All the talk of inflation and the possible cooling of inflation goes back to what's going to happen with interest rates. Even as we are awaiting what the US Federal Reserve is going to do with the interest rates in the US, there's all eyes on RBI. CRISIL expects an RBI rate cut in the month of October this year. Talk to us in terms of adjusting interest rates with the progression of inflation cooling.
So my base case is that the first rate cut could come in February of 2025, not in the October meeting. So two things to remember: highly unlikely that the RBI cuts before the US Federal Reserve. But that said, the US Federal Reserve could probably cut in the September policy meeting. So maybe when you go into the October meeting, you already have one rate cut from the Fed. But you also need to take into account the fact that the stance remains as withdrawal of accommodation even at this point in time. It's not impossible for the RBI to change the stance and cut at the same meeting, but given the growth remains relatively resilient, the RBI has brought down the 1Q FY25 growth numbers a bit, and probably it could be slightly lower than that looking at the high frequency indicators. But broadly, growth continues to be resilient. So I don't think they'll be in a hurry to cut rates. The earliest, in my view, could be December. Particularly, globally, you see at least two rate cuts, and inflation comes off. Domestic growth is also cooling off. Then you could see a December rate cut. But my base case still remains February 2025 could be the earliest when that we are expecting a rate cut.
Okay, February 2025 is the date that you are working with. I'm asking this question simply because, we've seen bank after bank, both public sector and private sector, hike the rates for fixed deposits recently, to the point where many were wondering, is it time, with all the volatility in the capital markets, is it time to start parking money in FDs? So in that sense, for all the viewers watching us, the investors, retail investors watching us, individual investors, small investors watching us, what would be your advice? Is it the right time to pivot and put your money into FDs at the high rates at which they are going? Because probably FDs won't remain for fixed deposits, the interest rates won't remain as high as they are at the moment.
You're right that fixed deposit rates have gone up, could go up a little more over the next few months, because the RBI has been particularly highlighting the wedge between the deposit growth and the credit growth. So the banks really need to pull up their socks on deposit growth. That's what the clear message from the RBI has been. So they're encouraging banks to expand their bank networks. FDs remain a good avenue for investment. I think the attraction of capital markets over the last few years has been, they've given double digits returns, and maybe even over 20% in some cases on a year-on-year basis. But FDs are definitely a safer bet. So I wouldn't advise people to cut down on the allocation to equities, entirely. But FDs at current rates do seem attractive.
Okay, at the moment they seem attractive, but what is the window that you're looking like? If people are thinking of investing in FDs and sort of taking money away from their mutual funds or other asset classes where they invested and then put it back into FDs, what is the time frame that they're working with over here? Is it till February 2025?
No, so actually it could take a little bit longer for the deposit rates to come off, because as I was saying, there is this huge wedge between deposit growth and credit growth. So to that extent, the deposit rates could remain slightly higher even if the RBI cuts rates. So probably deposit rates may not come off in February 2025 even if the RBI cuts rates. Even in December or even October, deposit rates could remain slightly higher for longer. So the window of opportunity, it's probably longer than when the RBI starts cutting rates. But eventually, deposit rates will also come off if the RBI does say 50 to 75 basis points of rate cuts.
Right. So, to deduce what you were trying to tell us, so basically, at least for the next 6 months, you're safe to find a good FD to park your money in?
That's right. Broadly, you can summarize it that way.
Okay, so 6 months is the time frame that we are looking at this stage. But a quick question in terms of is there are you seeing a particular time in the near future when food inflation could possibly start cooling, start coming under at least a manageable range?
As I was saying earlier, so when the Kharif crop hits the market, probably that's when you could see the cooling of food inflation begin. Vegetable prices also, vegetables is not entirely a Kharif crop, but the key crops like onions, tomatoes, etc. There is a huge Kharif component in that. So probably from September, October onwards is when you could start seeing food inflation coming off meaningfully.
Okay, September, October is when food inflation could start cooling is the word coming in from Teresa John. Teresa, thank you so much for taking time out to be with us here on In Your Interest. I hope to keep having you on the show again and again, but for now we'll let you go. And with that, we are taking a very short breather here on In Your Interest. We'll be back with lots more on the other side. Don't go anywhere.
जानना है तो देखिए, समझना है तो सुनिए, सीखना है तो पूछिए और कमाना है तो खरीदिए। जानकारी, सलाह और निवेश सब एक ही सुपर ऐप पर। पैसे का सवाल है तो जवाब है मनी9। आजादी पैसे की। अभी डाउनलोड करें।
This is News 9 Live, India's only digital exclusive live stream. For the early adopters, bringing you the news 24/7. For the smart audiences on the smartest TVs. News 9 Live. Stream now on your smart TVs.
Have not quite lived up to their pre-tournament billing, delivering a series of less than convincing performances. For 2 draws and a solitary win.
Your son will be Messi.
Have not quite lived up to their pre-tournament.
No studies, just football all day.
Less than convincing performances. For 2 draws and a
Go, my son, go. Make my face shine through playing football.
silence the critic.
Not only your face but also the country's. I will conquer the world by playing football. Come, let's go to Germany.
World's largest football talent hunt, News 9 Indian Tigers and Tigresses. In association with DFB Pokal, Bundesliga, BBB and India Football Center. Train and play matches in Europe. Register now and fly to Germany. IndianTigersandTigresses.com.
This is News 9 Live, India's only digital exclusive live stream. For the early adopters, bringing you the news 24/7. For the smart audiences on the smartest TVs. News 9 Live. Stream now on your smart TVs.
Fast.
My God, isn't she your daughter?
Yes.
She's playing football. This is boys' game. Make her study. If she doesn't get a good job, she will get a good match. Will you win the world by playing football?
Yes, auntie. My daughter will win the world by playing football.
Let's go to Germany.
World's largest football talent hunt, News 9 Indian Tigers and Tigresses. In association with DFB Pokal, Bundesliga, BBB and India Football Center. Train and play matches in Europe. Register now and fly to Germany. IndianTigersandTigresses.com.
You are watching In Your Interest. I am Krishna Kumar. Let's talk about a story that's trending on social media. IT giant Cognizant, a regular in the Fortune 500 club, is reportedly offering fresh graduates a jaw-dropping salary of, hold your breath, 2.52 lakh rupees. No, that's not per month. It's per annum, per year. Now, before you check if you heard that right, let's break it down. According to unconfirmed posts floating around on the platform X, formerly known as Twitter, which News9 has not been able to independently verify, this tech titan, Cognizant, is wooing freshers from the 2024 batch with that 2.52 lakh per annum salary package. The deadline to apply, 14th of August, which means about 24 hours, and the offer, a cool 2.52 lakhs or 2,52,000 rupees per annum. Yes, you heard that right. Just to put things in perspective, Cognizant allegedly offered the same package to new hires back in the year 2002, 22 years ago. So in terms of growth, we're basically stuck in a time loop. That's about 21,000 rupees a month gross, with the in-hand amount taking a hit from deductions like PF and others. If you break it down further, assuming a 40-hour work week across 4 weeks, that's around 131 rupees an hour, roughly $1.56 an hour. For context, the minimum wage in the US is $7.25 per hour, almost 5 times what Cognizant is allegedly offering. Now, here's a quick and an important disclaimer before we dive any deeper into the story. Note that we at News9 could not independently verify this offer from Cognizant. We did reach out to them and send them an email, but no dice. If we hear back from Cognizant, bet you'll be the first ones to know. Now on the platform X, formerly known as Twitter, the reactions to this mega offer have been nothing short of explosive. Some folks are venting about the lack of decent opportunities for skilled professionals, while others are saying that their local Momo vendor or driver is raking in more dough without spending 4 years and a fortune on an education. But wait, there's more. Cognizant isn't the only IT player turning heads with these offers. Earlier this year, TCS felt the heat on social media for dishing out just 25,000 rupees a month to freshers, a figure that has not budged in nearly 2 decades. And as if lowball salaries weren't enough, these IT behemoths are also trimming their workforce. India's top 3 IT firms reported over 4,500 headcount reductions or 4,500 job cuts in the first quarter of the current financial year. Even as they cut the workforce, they're ensuring that the salaries for the new hirees doesn't change in over 2 decades. That's the big story that we're tracking over here. Cognizant has allegedly offered a salary package of 2,52,000 rupees per annum per year for freshers, which works out to just about 21,000 rupees gross salary without deductions. You'll have to deduct PF and TDS from that, and then you'll get the actual in-hand figure, which is going to be less than 20,000 rupees. It has sparked a meme fest on social media, with many questioning the need for an education if that's the salary that's going to come at the end of it, whereas others without a formal education are raking in much more. Many are saying that you can't blame Gen Z for all wanting to be YouTubers, because that pays incredibly more than some of these salaries. We have Pragati Sharma, founder and managing director of i4HR Consulting, now joining us for more. Pragati, 2,52,000 rupees per annum. No wonder Gen Z wants to become YouTubers all the time.
No, I think, Krishna, let's first understand that given the market, the job market scene today, right? In my opinion, such large scale hiring initiatives could be seen as a sign of economic recovery. Okay, this means that companies are confident about future growth, future demand. Uh, the debate on salary, I think, is letting go of a lot of positives that Cognizant is offering. Agreed that this is a salary that has been repeated, it's not gone up, but they are offering this to undergraduates, 3 years of studies, probably looking at hiring in mass and then investing in them, upskilling them, training them on new skills, putting them on projects, even if it's a process executive that you start with. There will be opportunities. So it's not a salary that they're going to stay on for rest of their cognizant life, right? They will, depending on how they perform and the skills they pick up, absolutely look at probably doubling this maybe within even as fast as 2 years. So I think just being stuck on the salary bit is not fair. We have seen a lot of layoffs, right? You and I both know the news has been full of it. In the midst of it all, when a company like Cognizant is confident and saying, listen, we want a more competitive hiring environment, we are looking at such a large number, means they are confident. Yeah, I think it sends a very positive message for all the youth out there that is probably struggling to find something meaningful in the job market today.
Listen, the only doubt I have in my mind is this. Yes, you're right in saying the fact that there has been so many job cuts and layoffs recently. All of that, has also meant that your expectations from jobs are also at an all-time low. Fact of the matter is that you know where inflation is going. In the country, inflation in terms of the latest prices to go up, or the telecom tariffs, your mobile phone bills and your internet bills, they've gone up recently. Food inflation continues to remain high. Expenses have gone through the roof, especially post the pandemic. People are dealing with a lot of difficulties when it comes to the cost of living, and in that context, how is it possible that the salary is being offered for a fresher today is the same as the one that was offered 22 years ago? I understand that a job and a salary is better than no job and no salaries, but still, look at the rate. It's $1.56 per hour. That is 6 times lower than the minimum wage in the US.
Yeah, but these jobs are also being offered in Chennai, Pune, Calcutta, Coimbatore, right? These are not just in Delhi or Bombay. So if the opportunity for someone in Coimbatore or Calcutta or even Chennai, there, if someone is living at home, what cost of living are we debating with? And I'm not propagating for Cognizant here. I'm just very, very conscious of what is going out there in the job market. What are these students who've passed out, are still probably relying on their parents, are eager to prove themselves in the job market? What are they looking for, right? I'm more eager to probably bring that out here. Agreed. I think 2.5, 2.4, 20,000 a month is probably just pocket money, right? But if you're living with your parents, which most of these are, because these are still undergraduates, these are not MBAs that we're talking about. They will go on for further studies. Also, please look at what Cognizant is offering. They are offering them postgraduate studies sponsorship. They are offering training programs. They are offering digital certificates. Okay. And I think all the perks that any large company will. Yes, salary is low. Starting salary is abysmally low. I'm not getting into that debate, but I think let's look at the advantage of these roles coming out, these job opportunities coming out.
Fair enough. Okay, it's a chance to be trained by Cognizant and make probably what you can only describe as a stipend along with it. So it's more like a glorified internship, isn't it?
Absolutely. I think you can take it like you want. I think all of us have to make the most use of an opportunity when it strikes, right? You and I both agree that when an opportunity strikes, if we don't take advantage of it, then I think we are the biggest fools. And this generation is brilliant. I think if given an opportunity and given the right training, right investment by these large companies, put on the right projects, they will shine. So if someone is confident of their skills, they have nothing to worry about.
Okay, they have nothing to worry about is the word coming in. Thank you so much for taking time out to be with us here on In Your Interest. I'm afraid we've completely lost time on that. Pragati Sharma, founder and managing director of I4 HR Consulting. Here's a quick disclaimer before we wrap up the show. News 9 couldn't independently verify this particular offer of Cognizant of 2.52 lakh rupees per annum for freshers. We did write to them, we did write an email to them, but we are yet to hear back from them. This is all based on social media reports that Cognizant is offering 2.52 lakhs per annum for freshers. We are awaiting Cognizant's response, and we will be letting you know the moment we hear anything back from them. But with that, it's a wrap here on this edition of In Your Interest. Thank you so much for watching. This is Krishna Kumar signing off.
Big fan of Ian Bell, watching him very classy in all formats.
I find Durban quite a challenge, which is still an enjoyable one.
You're not allowed to bowl a bouncer, so that tells you that they want to see runs on the board.
बड़े अच्छे टूर्स किए हैं, बड़ी अच्छी यादें हैं हर जगह की, जहाँ मैंने पर्सनली क्रिकेट को बहुत एंजॉय किया है. ऑस्ट्रेलिया एंड इंडिया में बहुत ज़्यादा एंजॉय किया.
I love playing again England and India, and they were both very different challenges.
Up close and personal with legendary cricketers like never before. Icons of the pitch.
This and more. Streaming on News 9 Plus. News is now content. Subscribe and get free vouchers.
Hey, careful, huh? My daddy got it from abroad. Hey, disaster! How will you pay for the loss now?
In stock market, you should take risk as per your capacity and knowledge. Trade in options very carefully.
Wow, Dikra! Absolutely perfect. Take risk with full understanding.
Invest.
Give to me, pass.
We'll put new glasses in the windows and they keep breaking it. This is the fourth time. You are playing football throughout the day. Will you win the world by playing football?
Yes, uncle. I will now conquer the world by playing football. Let's go to Germany.
World's largest football talent hunt, News 9 Indian Tigers and Tigresses. In association with DFB Pokal, Bundesliga, BVB and India Football Center. Train and play matches in Europe. Register now and fly to Germany. IndianTigersandTigresses.com.
We're tracking all those stories here on News 9 Live. The top story at this hour, we begin the bulletin with what is happening in Kolkata. The case of R.K. Khar College to CBI now. It is a big blow to Mamata government. Mamata, who came to power on Mati Manush, is now battling charge of lack of order in the city. A city that fails to protect its women. Mamata is at pinnacle of her power, but the rape and murder case has galvanized the entire medical community against her. It has become a national issue. Is this a Nirbhaya moment for Mamata Banerjee? The court has now asked the state police to hand over all documents to the CBI immediately. Meanwhile, doctors across the nation rallied for justice in the case. In a powerful display of solidarity, doctors from India suspended all non-emergency services in response to the rape and murder, which is currently under investigation. The shocking incident has ignited widespread outrage that has severely disrupted healthcare services across the country. The Federation of All India Medical Association called for a nationwide shutdown of OPD services.
ये बहुत ही दुखद है और संवेदनशील मामला है. इसमें फार्मा डॉक्टर्स एसोसिएशन की 3 मांगे हैं. सबसे पहली मांग ये है कि इस पूरे जो मामला है, जो वाकया है, उसकी एक CBI इंक्वायरी हो. ये जो डॉक्टर थी वो वहाँ पे पोस्ट ग्रेजुएशन कर